This presentation is The Year of Apocalypse, and it's by The Humble Servant. And yes, Babylon is burning, as you can see. So, greetings to the 13 tribes of Israel scattered to the four winds, also those called by Yahuwah's name. Hope that everyone is in sound health and mind as we endure the wilderness of the nations. So, from the humble servant, as this presentation slide says, the intended purpose of the humble servant is to be a source of support information. And as you read on, you'll see what all the abbreviations and everything this presentation stands for is all about. So, have a read at it, and as we get into the presentation, some of these things are going to be mentioned so you'll know exactly what is being spoken of. So, introduction to apocalypse. The only way to keep a secret is to tell it to a dead man. That way you are certain that it would never be revealed. Having a secret is not a bad thing, but when that secret details wicked acts, it should be exposed to the light for discernment and justice. The title of this presentation has nothing to do with doom and gloom, as it is the perceived meaning of the word apocalypse. The opening remarks of this presentation highlights the concept of a secret and how it can be kept. How does a secret apply to apocalypse? On the contrary, the word has a totally different meaning from the recognized understanding. Once the understanding of apocalypse is clarified, then the exposure of any secret considered off limits will be justifiable in any manner of public importance. As this presentation progresses, it will uncover, in quotes, what apocalypse means and why the prior civil Christian year of 2024 can be labeled as apocalyptic. So for this presentation, we have four sections. The first one, the meaning of apocalypse, understanding the true meaning of the word. That's section 1. Section 2, why is this apocalypse now happening? And as the small caption says, open your eyes and keep your ears to the ground. Third is what comes next, and to be on your P's and Q's. And last, the conclusion, keeping your mind sound and having a time of wisdom and understanding. So the first section is the meaning of apocalypse, understanding the true meaning of the word. The meaning of apocalypse. So the first scripture verse is from Psalms chapter 18, verse 3 in the Septuagint, and Psalms 19, verse 3 in the Masoretic. There are no speech or words in which their voices are not heard. King David, as translated in the Septuagint, conveys that words being expressed are to be heard and understood. If the meaning of a word is misinterpreted or redefined, the exposition is lost, and the intent expressed is open to be misjudged. One such word is apocalypse, which is commonly tied to the New Testament book of Revelation. And this definition here is from the Jerusalem Bible. And the Greek title of this book is Apocalypse of John. And the word apocalypse is a translation of the Greek word for revelation. So ask anyone with a New Testament bias about the word apocalypse, and it recalls doom and gloom. So here from a dictionary, online dictionary, apocalypse, and as you can see, the first bullet, the complete final destruction of the world as described in the book of Revelation. And then it says also see the four horsemen. And then second meaning is an event involving destruction or damage on an awesome or catastrophic scale. So here you can see this is the commonly held view of what apocalypse is. Also from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary online, it also gives the same definition of the word apocalypse. So as I, oops, sorry. Yeah, so as you can see here, according to this online dictionary from Merriam-Webster, the first meaning, one of a Jewish and Christianity writings of 200 BC to about 8150, marked by pseudonymity, symbolic imagery, and exception of an imminent cosmic cataclysm in which God destroys the ruling powers of evil and raises the righteous to life in a messianic kingdom. So you can see that that meaning always is attributed with doom and gloom, and not necessarily what the actual word meaning should be attributed to. So this is not just the feeling from everyone, it's the commonly held view that apocalypse always means doom and gloom. So trying to get a biblical definition may not convey the literal meaning or for comprehension. So going to the Zondervan Bible and the Reval Bible Dictionary, this is what is conveyed about the meaning of the word apocalypse.
Apocalyptic literature. There are two types, canonical and uncanonical. The first includes Daniel and Revelation, which give revelations of the secret purposes of God, the end of the world, and the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. The second appeared between 200 BC and 8200 and also purports to give revelations of the Last Judgment and the hereafter. Outstanding apocalypses are First Enoch, Jubilees, Assumption of Moses, Second Esdras, Apocalypse of Baruch, Second Enoch, the Testaments of the 12 Prophets, the Psalm of Solomon, 17th and 18th, and the Sibylline oracles are also usually included in a discussion of apocalyptic literature. Certain characteristics mark them. They deal with the future, imitate the visions of the prophets, are written under the names of O.T. Worthies, use symbolisms, are messianic. Apocalyptic literature, religious writings that claim to present a mystical revelation from God, generally in symbolic language and usually involving the prospect of devastating supernatural intervention in human history in the end times. This literature, with its roots in OT prophetic vision, reflected a growing pessimism about the life in this world. After the Babylonian captivity, Israel remained oppressed by a series of Gentile world empires. Even the struggle during the 160s BC that led to limited independence fell far short of Israel's dreams. But why, after rejecting the idol worship for which she was punished, was Israel not restored to her former glory? The apocalyptic literature that emerged between 200 BC and AD 100 attempted to explain the mystery of the silence of Israel's God. From the references, observed that apocalypse and revelation is not a New Testament concept.
When hearing pastors preaching about the book of Revelation, a sense of fear and terror flood the hearts of parishioners not longing to ever experience those events, even to the point where it, Revelation, would not be read by many of the laity because of the perception embedded in the thoughts and understanding. The word in itself, apocalypse, is not a menacing word. Contrariwise, it is a word to be embraced based on the actual connotation. So then, what is the actual meaning of apocalypse?
Okay, so I'll go ahead to this section there.
Read the book.
Revelation of the last things, specifically that made to St. John are recorded by him in the last book of the New Testament, called also the book of the Revelation of St. John the Divine.
Okay, so this is the Webster's Universal Dictionary, Unabridged International Edition, color illustrated definition. Now, the two key words that have been bolded is to uncover and to disclose. So that's what the actual meaning of apocalypse is: to uncover or to disclose, or as the book is named, revelation to revealed. Two key words from the Webster Universal Dictionary's definition is to uncover and disclose. Hence the name given to the New Testament book when the Greek is translated to English, which is Revelation. To reveal is the key meaning of apocalypse, and the awareness is pivotal in why some secrets must or will be uncovered and disclosed.
Deuteronomy 29:29. The secret things belong to Yahweh or Elohim, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children, age upon age, to do all the words of this law.
The truth regarding matters pertaining to man cannot be kept a secret. For starters, having the correct perception of a word establishes the intended interpretation of the analogy. And there I give what I use as an analogy. Thus, breaking down the meaning of apocalypse is the first step in grasping why, well, it should not this year, but the prior year, 2024, have turned out to be apocalyptic.
The beast of the sea is one of the many tropes from the New Testament book of Revelation that gives the apocalyptic feel of doom, gloom, and foreboding. Though this imagery is being revealed in symbolic metaphors, the understanding is far removed from the notion of uncovering and disclosing. The concept apocalypse is not a New Testament idea. As stated in both Zondervan and Revel Bible Dictionary, the concept is echoed across the Old Testament scriptures, with Isaiah 24-27 academically described as the apocalypse of Isaiah. The imagery across the scriptures of the Old Testament is more descriptive, revealing, and doomish compared to the New Testament book of Revelation. In the presentation, unlike any other, Isaiah 24 was referenced, highlighting how things are going to get disastrous and evil as society continues along the current trajectory. World society is uneasy, and their discontent is getting vocal as war seems likely, and the internet amplifies the disconnect.
And one thing I like, anyone who's new or previously listening to these presentations, each presentation interacts with each other. So it would always be helpful to have listened to the prior presentations when you get to the new presentation that is published. So that's just something to keep in mind, because everything is interconnected. With the correct meaning of apocalypse established, the tone is set for understanding the apocalyptic dimensions of all the secret things that are now, in quotes, open in the public discourse. The secrets are now exposed for the global society to scrutinize and judge. Secrets previously discussed would brand you a, in quotes, conspiracy theorist and or tinfoil hat advocate. Yahuwah's truth about everything must be set before all. Ignorance is not acceptable if people wish to turn a blind eye and bury their heads in the sand like an ostrich. The truth of everything must be apocalypsed, and it will be broadcasted for every eyeball as the curtains are pulled back and as all occult and esoteric matters is revealed to the masses. So we're on to the second section, which is, why is this apocalypse now happening? So open your eyes and keep your ears to the ground.
Why is this apocalypse now happening? 2024 has turned out to be a year of exposure, as many things spoken in secret are now in the public domain. Katt Williams, in his super viral conversation with Shannon Sharp, unapologetically stated things that have come to pass, naming names and setting the record straight. Since the dialogue with Katt and Shannon, we've heard and seen many with the courage to speak of their experiences and stand firm on what was done to them by persons with influence and authority. It will be right to question the validity of the claims made against people and institutions, but it should not go unnoticed and deep-sixed into the trash. Outside of the statements made by Katt, we've also seen the political landscape turned on its head globally with the U.S. elections, the fall of governments in France, UK, in and around Europe, Syria, Africa, and soon here in Canada. Simple society is disgusted, angry, frustrated, over and underwhelmed, anxious, indifferent, etc., as those who hold the key to power and influence continue to belittle the rest of society.
Historical, scientific, archaeological, religious, ethnic facts are being challenged as those narratives are no longer holding the authenticity or accuracy as new evidence is emerging in the public view. The exhibition, and I want you to think about a person being naked in public view as the exhibition in this case, about everything is driven by the internet and interconnected technology that makes it easy to record, publish, distribute information. As King David stated in Psalm chapter 9 verse 15, the heathen are the heathen are caught in the destruction they plan, in the very snare which they hid is their foot taken. The fake, false facade that was built up over the generations is falling like an avalanche as the glue, and time is the glue, that kept it together is no longer to their advantage. Fairy tales are faring better than the history told by those who have been wielding the power. The $1 million question is why the apocalypse has intensified at this, and this is very prominent, this moment in time. The curtains have always been peeled back with brave souls speaking out through radio, print media, and eventually video when the technology was available in the past. You can find these commentaries with searches on the internet. Unfortunately, these revealers have been criticized, led by the establishment, and labeled with disparaging catchphrases as previously mentioned conspiracy theorists and tinfoil hat monikers. Their exposure was considered far-fetched and unrealistic.
But now, nothing is far-fetched. The Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is stirring the nations as he ends the reign of Babylon. YHWH is removing the authority he bestowed on Babylon in Daniel 2 by establishing King Nebuchadnezzar's vision. When the kingdom of Judah was exiled in Babylon, a time was set by YHWH for the Babylon nations to have authority over the earth to show the house of Jacob that being like the nations isn't worth it, and it is important for us to judge between their laws and his laws. It is evident that YHWH's laws are far superior to Babylon's, and it has been a bitter lesson to learn. King Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom was the start, and he challenged YHWH and was put in his place. We are now at the Babylonian kingdom of the toes, and they are trying to retain the authority and power.
Yahweh is stripping their authority before the eyes and ears of the scattered house of Israel and the nations.
Isaiah 35, 4-5. Comfort one another, you faint-hearted. Be strong, fear not. Behold, our Elohim renders judgment, and he will render it. He will come and save us. Then shall the eyes of the blind be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall hear.
Apart from the heathen falling in their own trap, they will be judged for their actions while they had the authority and control over the whole earth.
Psalm 57, 1-3. For the end, destroy not by David for a memorial. If you do indeed speak righteousness, then do you judge righteously, you sons of men. For you work iniquities in your hearts, in the earth. Your hands plot unrighteousness. Sinners have gone astray from the womb. They go astray from the belly. They speak lies.
Not excluding the gods, in quotes, lower G, that orchestrated their will in the shadows, who have challenged the authority of Yahuwah from the beginning.
Psalm 81, 1-3. A psalm of Asaph. God, or Elohim, stands in the assembly of Elohim. In the midst of them will judge Elohim. How long will you judge unrighteously and accept the persons of sinners? Salah. Judge the orphan and poor. Do justice to the low and needy.
The punishment of the house of Jacob is at an end, as the authority is transitioning back to Jacob through the tribe of Judah. And this is from Ezekiel 37:15-20.
And the word of YHWH came to me, saying, Son of man, take for yourself a rod and write upon it, Judah and the children of Israel, his adherents. And you shall take for yourself another rod, and you shall inscribe it for Joseph, the rod of Ephraim, and all the children of Israel that belong to him. And you shall joint them together for yourself, so that they should bind themselves into one stick. And they shall be in your hand. And it shall come to pass, when the children of your people shall say to you, Will you not tell us what you mean by these things? Then shall you say to them, Thus says YHWH, Behold, I will take the tribe of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel that belong to him, and I will add them to the tribe of Judah, and they shall become one rod in the hand of Judah. And the rods on which you did write shall be in your hand in their presence.
Hence, all lies are being exposed at this moment. The truth will be laid open for everyone to make an informed assessment and to adjust. No one will be without excuse, as the truth is before the house of Jacob and the nations. And I just want to highlight one caption here off to the right. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. And this is from Joseph Goebbels, and if you look him up, you'll see exactly who he is. And he was a politician. So, next section, section 3, what comes next? Be on your P's and Q's. 2025 has started. Speculating as to how the coming new civil Christian Georgian year is necessary, as there is no stopping the apocalypse as it continues. The apocalypse will keep snowballing as Yahuwah continues to lay the truth for all to see and judge. As the authority diminishes, what is to be expected as the sun continues to revolve around the earth? Turbulence is to be expected leading up to the events spoken of in the apocalypse of Isaiah chapter 24, and that was already covered in Unlike Any Other, which you can revisit. Here are some of the turbulence as the apocalypse of 2024 ends, which have ended, and 2025 moves on.
Western powers losing control in their former colonies. Western powers continuing to lose their power in their colonial holdings outside of their geographic borders. France has lost control of their Francophone colonies, which have impacted their home economy. Senegal, Chad have joined Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso in asking the French to leave. Expect to see so-called former British and Spanish holdings to follow suit. People should question if a country is truly independent.
No country is truly independent at this time. They have the illusion of it, but truly not. Government corruption. It should be obvious that every and all governments that are subject to the Babylonian kingdom are corrupt to the core. No world government is exempt. Currently dominating news pieces is the political crisis in Canada, where the current PM has been scandal-plagued. Other governments are currently in the news cycle, such as Trinidad and Tobago, where the finance minister cannot account for billions. Additionally, the South Korean government is in a crisis, along with many Asian and European governments. A person must be willfully blind to not take these matters into account. More corrupt governments will be exposed. And just a little note, I'm at the point of recording this. The Prime Minister of Canada is being rumored to resign shortly because of so many things that is currently happening in the Canadian society. And where Trinidad and Tobago is concerned, that country is now in a state of emergency because of gang crimes, which was left to get out of control, which is because of government corruption. You can look these up to get more insights into it. But these are just two examples of the many situations that is currently affecting many global governments as we currently speak, and still affecting.
War and conflict. When all else fails and the corruption is out in the open, take the people to war. We have always been at war, and ever since the Babylonian kingdom have been in control. War with nations is going to escalate, spreading from the epicenter of the Russo-Ukraine war and the Syrian conflict engulfing the entire Middle East.
Yes, so watch out. There's many other things popping off right now in other places. So last news article, they're sending Guatemalan and I think Ecuadorian troops into Haiti because it seems as though the Kenyan and Jamaican forces that they sent into Haiti is not containing the problem. So expect to see more types of conflicts popping off in other places as the year churns on.
Economic instability. 2024 has seen interest rates globally yo-yoing, with precious metals and cryptocurrency trading at an all-time high. People are living on the last paycheck, with mounting debt, out-of-control food prices, and growing homelessness as affordability is getting out of reach. BRICS versus the West. IMF, World Bank, Western central banks, is the economic showdown to pop off, and economic turmoil will continue as more people are strapped for cash.
And this is one reason why, from our Canadian perspective, a lot of people are wanting change is because things are really economically tight here. And they said enough is enough. Medical fraud. The global pandemic had the spotlight on health institutions, pharmaceutical companies, health officials, and our politicians. That situation was polarizing as misinformation, scare tactics, and draconian measures were implemented globally. Though it shone a spotlight on the dark side of health, this practice has been perpetrated on the so-called Negro ethnic group, and that's why you see medical apartheid up there. You can go look it up. As new diseases are presented to the public, the corruption of the medical industry will remain in the spotlight. And they are saying there's lockdowns again in China, and then there are so many other so-called diseases that is out there. Who to believe? But this has to be exposed so people could know exactly what is and what isn't.
What comes next? Isaiah 19:5-8.
Okay, so this is environmental. Um, is the water drying up? Probably, probably. Since 2023, many articles have been published about the extreme dry conditions along with severe weather conditions globally with hurricanes, typhoons, tornadoes, winter conditions, etc., all being really exponential. And just recently, there were tornadoes tearing through the US. Also, wildfires stretching from South to North America and Europe. These evil actions are not a result of climate change or global warming. Rather, Yahuwah is causing the change in the environmental condition as declared in his word via his righteous prophets.
Isaiah 19:5-8. And the Egyptians shall drink the water that is by the sea, but the river shall fail and be dried up, and the streams shall fail, and the canals of the river, and every reservoir of water shall be dried up, and every marsh also of reed and papyrus. And Joel 1:19-20. To you, O Yahweh, will I cry, for fire has devoured the fair places of the wilderness, and a flame has burnt up all the trees of the field, and the cattle of the field have looked up to you, for the fountains of waters have been dried up, and the fire has devoured the fair places of the wilderness.
So this is something to consider. It's not their global warming, or at least the blame is on global warming, or whatever they want to call it, climate change or acid rain or whatever the case may be. This is Yah's doing, and it's all in order to bring about the change that he said he's going to bring about. Religious fraud. And I hope a lot of people pay attention to this one. Scandals are not new in the church, as the shortcomings of man influences bad, foolish actions. In addition, the accredited scriptures and the church should not be viewed as synonymous or one and the same. The accredited scriptures speak of the corruption. It is the people who make up the respective church institution who choose to be willfully blind and to defend the corruption. The truth of Yahuwah embedded in the scriptures has always exposed the church and will continue to do so. Expect to see more scandals in the public view. And as you see in those two screenshots at the top, T.D. Jakes has been in the news ever since that Katt Williams interview, and the scandals he come into light about him. And just recently, we have the Daystar scandal that is unfolded. And not to forget the old ones, which we wouldn't bring up because they are not relevant to what is currently escalating at this moment within the religious space.
The Truth of Everything. Nikolai Gogol, 1809 to 1852, was a Russo-Ukrainian novelist and playwright who had a significant influence on Russian literature. The quote, "Everything resembles the truth, everything can happen to a man," is taken from his literary work Dead Souls, which many believe was inspired by the work Divine Comedy. The first part of the quote, "Everything resembles the truth," typifies the state of society with the lies masquerading as the truth.
And if you dig deep in you, wherever you are, you'll see everything that they're telling you is the truth is a lie. And you need to keep that in mind. Everything seems to be regular, but deception is the order of the day.
Jeremiah 9:3. And they have bent their tongue like a bow. Falsehood and not faithfulness have prevailed upon the earth. For they have gone on from evil to evil and have not, probably wickedness to wickedness, and have not known me, says Yahweh.
What is the truth about everything? It begins with Yahweh, who He is, His creation, authority, and laws. He is the one that created heaven and earth and its true nature. And that true nature is whether you think it's heliocentric or geocentric. It should be geocentric, but that's up to you. And you can look up Jeremiah chapter 1, Genesis chapter 1 or Jeremiah 10:12 to get some more context. But there are many other scripture verses which was not referenced, but you can find them. His authority is above every god and man that exists. And you can look to Deuteronomy 10:17 to get some context to that. His law is both truth and righteous. And you can read righteousness. And you can read the Psalms for that. That is referenced there. This also includes the truth about nations and tribes and how they should function and are governed. And you can go to Genesis 11 for that information. Additionally, the record about life in general and the authority, dominion, and responsibility bestowed upon mankind when the creation was established by Yahuwah. The lies have misguided society and the consequences have been far-reaching. Section 4. Conclusion. Keeping your mind sound. Time for wisdom and understanding.
The apocalypse that was kicked off in 2024 is about the revelation, uncovering, and disclosing of the underbelly of society that came to prominence, starting with the Katt Williams interview that was heard around the earth. As 2024 is now a wrap and 2025 commences, there is no stopping the apocalypse of truth. All the sanctioned scriptures is coming alive as the locked riddles are being apocalypsed for the house of Israel and all those who trust in Yahuwah. The apocalypse was kicked into overdrive with the internet as the underlying factor to get the message out. If you are not aware, the internet was developed as a robust communication platform for war purposes. Since its commercialization, we've seen an explosion of information distribution, peeling back the curtain on dark Babylon, which is likely not the intended outcome wanted by the system's overseers. All social media sitting on the internet infrastructure from its existence has given the spotlight on the lowdowns of the Babylonian kingdom. With the apocalypse progressing, keeping your mind sound is a requisite as Babylon is imploding. The fallout will impact your mental state if you are not of a sound mind. Things are going to get wilder as the 2025 establish is itself.
And if you're paying attention to the news cycle, you saw where the U.S. is concerned. We had a situation in New York with a nightclub where there was some stabbings and somebody being pushed onto subway tracks and somebody has been burnt on the subway. Then we saw in New Orleans that there was a terrorist attack. Some guy with a truck, I think, plowed through people, Even in Germany, a situation like that happened over the that holiday season. And then you saw where a Cybertruck blew up in Nevada. And the details about that is super sketchy, but there's so many things going on right now. And you have to keep a sound mind because these things could get to you as Babylon continues to burn or burns out of control. It will get overwhelming as more unsavory disclosures coupled with unrest as corrupt institutions can no longer maintain the so-called white marble facade that aided in their deception. Apocalyptic events are going to be mind-blowing and maintaining a strong cognitive resolve and putting your trust in Yahuwah will see the righteous enduring.
Nahum 1:7. Yahuwah is good to them that wait on him in the day of affliction, and he knows them that reverence him.
The destruction of Babylon is coming. Keep your mind, gain wisdom, and let Yahuwah's will be done.
Jeremiah 28:54-55. A sound of a cry in Babylon and great destruction in the land of the Chaldeans. For Yahuwah has utterly destroyed Babylon and cut off from her the great voice sounding as many waters. He has consigned her voice to destruction.
There is no stopping what is happening. You can try your very best. You can pray your heart out to say, hey, don't waste your time. Let Babylon burn. But in the meantime, keep a sound mind. Focus on Yah. Read His word. Pay attention to everything is happening. and adjust your life as things start to unfold around you. So I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can send it to that email address listed there. Additionally, you can go to the website to look up the prior presentations that were published. And this presentation was, or the template was created by SlideGo and includes icons by Flat Icon, which I have a subscription to. So sometimes I use icons from there for some of my infographics. And then the infographics contained in this presentation was by FreePick. So thanks again for tuning in. Pay attention to everything that's happening around you, and let yours will be done. Bye for now.